Hello, hello, Otafest listeners. It is I, Angelo, and I'm here with Nancy and Jay.
Hello.
Ni howdy.
And I'm here to tell you, Otafest 2022 early bird tickets are now available. Head to otafest.com for all of the details. And a quick reminder that Otafest 2022 will be a 2-day event rather than our traditional 3-day event. In keeping the interests of everyone's health, we will be requiring that all attendees have masks and will be checking for vaccinations.
Heck yeah.
Make sure to print out that little card and shove it in your wallet.
Or the QR code. Or the RFID chip inside your left retina.
I'd rather it was in my hand.
Yes. Or make sure... I'm not even going to make 5G jokes at this point. 5G jokes are done to death.
It's 6G time, baby.
As someone who's spent a large portion of the last few weeks helping sunset 3G technology...
Oh, man.
It's a rough thing.
Why? Now that I'm thinking about it, like... 3G tech doesn't seem that old to me because when I was still working at the source, they just launched the HSPA network, which is effectively like 3.5G, as opposed to like Rogers Edge network, which is like properly 3G, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So thinking about it, that was a long time ago. That was a really long time ago, but it doesn't seem that long ago to me.
I mean... Okay, there are actual...
Context.
There are... context. So for context, there are actual mobile providers that are just, like, uninstalling 3G hardware right now. Like, those towers just don't work for a 3G signal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Are they... Is it not worth it to just reconfigure them some way?
I mean, you can.
So
I mean, I certainly don't know the
logistics. Actually
logistics.
doing is just climbing up the tower, unbolting the 3G antenna, and putting up a new 5G or LTE antenna.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
See,
Like,
that makes sense.
They're not literally chopping down the tower.
Well, no,
or
not
taking
that.
it
But
down.
I was like,
sometimes they're
certainly
chopping
they
down
must
towers.
not be just leaving them behind. Because something else that I'm sure only some people know is like when they make the agreements with whatever municipality to actually set up those towers, it can be very contentious to get the permits to erect communications towers. And they tend to try to part of it, some people would be like, it's radiation. And it's like, well, there's a lot of radiation. Like, people don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to radiation, in the same way that a lot of people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to chemicals.
Oh, boy.
But
getting on some local politics there.
it's true. But a lot of the times when it comes to municipalities and trying to get the confirmation to set up communications towers in municipalities, whether it's cities or towns, like rural or urban, it's actually quite complicated. And a lot of the times they actually try to quote unquote build it in areas that are inconspicuous. So the top of a church to blend in with
the cross,
crucifix part, or whatever. There's a lot of making it look like it's not just some giant piece
eyesore
of tower technology.
Mm-hmm.
But I know what you mean, but at the same time, once I started looking for them, I started noticing them everywhere. And in Calgary, they don't really go that far to try to hide them.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I think there's a lot of factors. Some of it's aesthetic, but not all of it.
Yeah, and don't these, if you have a cellular tower erected on your property, don't you get monetary compensation for that?
Usually
they
there's
get
some
10 gigs of data a month.
10 whole gigs?
But,
surely.
The one thing that I don't understand is if the municipal governments and the provincial governments are the ones getting in the way, why aren't there cell phone towers in places with no governments, like weird little deserted isles off the coast of South Korea? Because there was this thing and there was this game and the people, the cell phones didn't work on the island, and I was like, but there's no signal there. What's going on? What's going on?
Do you mean Skid Game?
What?
That's a game of Skid. I watched.
Skid.
Skids.
Skid. That's just when you slam on the brakes too hard.
That's not something you want to do in the winter.
Squeed.
It can be.
I mean, it sort of is.
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever do that thing where you go to an abandoned parking lot and you just do donuts on the ice?
Fuck no. I went to Walmart.
Oh, Walmart. Yeah, you're right. That's
Exactly.
A pretty
It's
big
not
parking lot.
abandoned.
Okay.
It's very much active.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But like, did you ever practice drifting or anything in the winter in just some big parking lot?
These days I try not to drift.
I mean,
I don't think I've ever owned a car that could drift or driven a car that was really drift capable.
really? I mean, you can make anything.
But having that
drift,
said,
I
I
think.
definitely try not to drift away from Squid Game.
So, have you guys
Yeah,
finished
no.
watching the entire Squid Game?
Yes.
I have not
you?
finished. I am
wait,
on
you haven't
episode
finished,
8.
Jay.
I'm on episode 8.
Oh, you're so close.
Yeah, so I've got
I think it was 10.
It was 9 or 10.
I think it's 9. Actually, yeah, I think I finished just episode 7. So I'm gonna watch 8, I believe.
Oh my god, Jay.
But
You're
yeah,
so
it's
close.
it,
You're so
it got to
close
the
to the
point where
end.
I the last episode I watched was the one with there's the VIPs
Oh,
that come in.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite player?
Who's my favorite player?
Yeah.
I like the girl.
You're wrong. It's Ali. Ali is the best player.
Ali's up there,
He's
but
so
he's too
good.
he's just too naive. He's too naive, and
He's
you knew that he was
so
never
naive, but
he never
he's
had a
so
chance to win.
good.
He's the character that you cheer for to want to win, but you know he can't. He's not allowed under these circumstances to win, and for that reason he's actually down a notch for me. It's the girl, like the North Korean girl, or
Yeah.
alternatively, I actually did like the old man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the old man is so good.
Like, you know, he can't win either, but I actually really liked his circumstances. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So
I really know what you mean.
yeah, I liked it when he led the team in the tug of war. He was just like, in my day, we knew the strats, the meta to the tug of war, and
Old
it's like
man
this.
was
and
so
then they
powerful.
just did like the big lean, and it was just like, the meta.
And me and Nancy are just trying not to say anything.
Knuckle biting.
okay.
This is a spoiler-free zone. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely enough where I don't want to talk about any of like the major plot points because it's still just new enough that people
It's
Spoiler
new
free
enough that
zone,
there's a
yeah.
lot of people who
Yeah.
won't who will be spoiled if we get too far into the details.
But I'm willing. But like, I think everything that we've talked about, like the in terms of like, you know, good characters and stuff. One of the things that I find kind of sad.
Who's the worst character? Who do you think is the worst character?
The lady's really annoying to me.
Okay, that's fair. That I understand
Fair
that one.
assessment.
She's just not. She's not a fun character to me. Like, I'm not saying you have to be fun, but I just don't think she's interesting because
She
I-
plays
I-
the asshole character so well.
Yeah, but it's not just
So
that. I just have no.
well.
I just
You
have
gotta
no
be a good
background on
actor
her,
to
so it's
pull
not
that
really
off.
something I like. I just don't care about her enough. But she just shows up all the time, and I'm like, whatever. Like, she's a shit disturber. I get it, and you kind of need one, but I just
I
don't
wish
have
you
to
didn't need one.
feel good about it. I know a lot of people won't like the gangster, but the gangster is whatever. And then the number one character that you have to low key hate or high key is the pride of that Korean town guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god! Even saying that you're supposed to hate him is a little bit of a spoiler. Not gonna
No, I
lie.
think you get an idea of it by like fairly early on because you see
foreshadow
Pretty sure you're supposed
pretty
to hate
early
most of
Yeah.
that guy is an absolute snake.
that he's no goo.
But
yeah.
oh,
I don't know that much about him yet, like in the sense that I wonder where things are going to end. The one thing that I do find is like kind of sad, and this is not shouldn't be a surprise. I don't think this is a spoiler. It's more of a personal like interpretation, but it's like by the time the game starts thinning out on people and they add smaller and smaller increments of money to the piggy bank, you're just sort of like, you really like, there's a real sense that it evokes that it should not be worth it anymore, even though it's actually the sum of the whole. But like seeing like individual amounts be added to the piggy bank, even though that individual amount actually equals out to about $100,000 per person in Canadian dollars, like, you're sort of like,
one person dies like in either a gruesome or violent or just a sad way, and then one little bundle of cash that's just one small little pile in this giant pot mass that's in the big piggy bank, and you're like, wow, it really was fucking nothing.
Yeah,
it's perspective.
It's
right?
not nice to,
but
they're
so
single
good
human life
about
at a
the way
price
they
like
did
that.
Yeah,
masterfully done.
I think I've said this on podcasts a few times, but like I'm a huge fan of battle royale type games. This isn't necessarily a battle royale technically, but it has some battle royale like elements. I've enjoyed it so far. The writing's pretty good.
It's basically IRL Fall Guys.
I was thinking that too, to be honest.
Like at first I was being like, oh, it's like Kaiji. It's like IRL Kaiji. But no, because Kaiji was a lot more like one-on-one kind of a deal. Whereas with this, it really is more very early on, it's playing with the chaos of Fall Guys and continually thinning out the crowd.
I'm going to talk about something real first episode. So the very first game they play, Dodakji, which is the flip over the piece of paper origami game, which is a game I've played before.
I have not.
I think it's a hilarious intro, and it's like it's a fantastic
amazing
setup to everything, and like, you know, you can win money or you get or you can pay with your body.
You could win $100.
Yeah,
and if you lost, you can get slapped.
And
I was so. When Main Boy, I can't remember his name, but when Main Boy won the first time and he wanted to slap the other guy, I was like, yeah, get him right across the cheek.
And then he's just like, he's like, some money.
No, here's the money. And then he was like, oh, right.
And that was
money.
Yeah. And
I just kind of wanted to slap the guy, but yeah, okay.
I felt bad about his daughter.
Okay, so I got so mad. I would have gotten so mad at him if he had actually just taken the slap. Considering that he was owing $100,000
for a slap. Yeah. Well, we see that his character is not exactly
I would have gone for the slap.
He's not he did go for the slap.
I would have been so angry if he'd taken the slap instead of the money.
He did go for slap. But the other thing is, it's important to remember that
I didn't understand the exact conversion rate when I was watching that scene.
It's basically
I understand now that it's $100.
You move 3 decimal places.
Oh, interesting.
Yes,
that's basically it.
And so, if I were playing this game, like this is I absolutely self-insert into these sort of situations in media.
Yeah.
If I were playing that game, I would want to win the money like 2 or 3 times. 3 times.
So you could slap him 3 times.
But I would want to slap him at least once.
Yeah.
At least once.
I'd pay to slap him
I don't
once,
care
probably.
if it's the last win of the game. I need to make his cheek red. I need to imprint my fingers on him the way he has imprinted his fingers on me.
Main Boy was pretty beat up by the end of it. But yeah, I would have been mad at you if you'd taken
for the
a
actual
slap.
character.
You already
it's supposed
owe
to show
people
that
money.
You know, he's just not a very like it shows it earlier too, but he's not a very he's a very impulsive person.
He's also not responsible.
Oh, absolutely.
He doesn't really plan ahead too much, and you can see that in a lot of his decisions that he makes during the games as well.
Yeah, he kind of is.
I don't know. I mostly just I kind of feel bad for him. I feel bad for his daughter.
I feel so bad for his daughter.
Oh God, his daughter got done so dirty.
His daughter's such a good girl, like a good daughter too. Like just
she's so good.
She's like,
she's so sweet
I had
to him.
steak, but I would rather have these cheap ass rice cakes. Yeah.
And she was doing everything to make him feel better about it.
Yeah, and she didn't even tell him that.
And the birthday present.
They're leaving. Didn't.
The birthday present that it's just
Oh my god.
so hilarious.
And like, it was just enraging.
Just
He didn't
hilarious.
remember her birthday. He didn't really even care about her until she was being taken away from him.
Yeah,
Poor
and you feel
mom.
bad for the mom too.
And his mother. In the first
the
5
grandma,
minutes
I
of
guess I
that
should
show,
say.
you watch the way he treats his mom, and I'm just like, you, sir, are a slimeball, and you deserve every bad thing to happen to you. Every bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Like his character arc over the course of the games, it almost kind of, by the end of this series, you kind of understand how he could be a good person now, but you still go back to that first episode and you're like, he really is a piece of trash though.
Like, I
how
don't
much has
think
he
he's
changed?
But like,
He just has money now.
Yeah.
think about what he actually
I
did
will
when
say,
he finally
though-
got money in that first episode.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of made a mild spoiler, but I don't think that's a spoiler that nobody can see.
It's fine. It's I'm sure a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
people have watched it and probably have finished it. It's more like I'm behind, but I think we can give it a couple of weeks before we can like finish it on it.
I will say character has main character powers.
Yeah. I will say though, like, you know, you like you were saying, you self-insert. What does, like, let's say you win and you participate in a game of 456 people with $100,000 per person, which equals out to $456 million, roughly. What do you do with that? Knowing what you know, living that part of life that you led, like the 450, like, I get it. They took these people that like had bad backgrounds, bad financial histories, that kind of thing. But like, even with that, what do you do after you
I would buy a
actually
house
win?
and a suit, but I would not get my hair done.
Why wouldn't you just go the extra distance and get your hair done?
Well, have you seen my hair? There's not much of it.
Okay, fair. I'm just saying. If you're gonna go and do all those things.
Maybe I would go Elon Musk route and get fake hair.
He has fake hair?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just projecting here because if you see pictures of him from like 1999 when he launched PayPal, he's almost as bald as I am.
Yeah, he does not have good hair. I've seen those pictures, like,
And these days,
inadvertently.
he has a full head of luscious hair. I'm not saying that
Money
he got
buys hair.
like hair transplant or anything.
Hair transplants are
So,
actually
But
Angela-
super
I'm saying
expensive.
he could afford it.
What do you do? What do you do after you get those hair transplants? What do you do with the remaining $50,000?
With the remaining $50,000, I would buy a classic car, convert it to electric, and then go use the last $5.
Dude, I think you
to
just
go buy some ramen.
Look, don't get me wrong. I don't think a lot of gearheads listen to the Otafest podcast, but I think you just hurt a lot of people's feelings in the universe about, like, you'll take a nice muscle car, some classic muscle car, and then be like, electric. Not that electric cars are bad. No, but there's a lot of
depending
like,
on
they
the
have
car
their
you go
big
with,
feels about it.
depending on what car you start with,
Mhm.
there could be no harm in doing that. Like, if you
depends.
take a
It
car
really
that's already
depends.
been molested, maybe the original
Molested.
motor is seized, maybe it's kind of like already going towards the scrapyard. If you revive it and like do a restoration, everyone will be like, yeah, amazing, perfect. If you take a vehicle where the tires haven't been changed in 50 years and you do anything, people will be like, I can't believe you've done this.
You've offended me by changing this pristine vehicle.
Like in the case of my moped, the only parts on it that are no longer original are the spark plug, the choke cable, the carburetor, and now the handle grips.
I'm surprised the spark plug wasn't.
The spark plug was fine actually, and I think if I put the spark plug back in, if I cleaned it up and put it back in, it would probably work fine. I was running the engine rich because I didn't have the carburetor jetted right. And so it just got covered in carbon. Like if I just took a wire brush to it, scrubbed it up, that 50-year-old spark plug would probably be 100%.
I mean, now that I think of it, a 50-year-old spark plug, they made them better back then, didn't they?
What is the number one choice car that is a classic vehicle that you would convert to electric?
A Pontiac Fiero.
A Fiero?
Yeah, because it was a tiny...
Why a Fiero?
Because it is the only production mid-engine, North American mid-engine, quote-unquote sports car. It wasn't really a sports car, but it was designed like a sports car. It just didn't have the power. And
they tried to make it look like a Ferrari, okay?
And that's the thing.
Straight up, just say
it is.
They tried to make it look like a Ferrari.
And there's body kits out there for it.
Yes.
And
probably.
No, there legitimately are. It's one of the more popular body kits for the Fiero. Mm-hmm. And the reason I would do that is because if you get the equivalent of like 150 horsepower electric in there, so that would be like 100 kilowatts, you would blow the pants off the original performance of that car. It would be insane. It would be stupid and wonderful and a fun little beast.
Uh-huh. I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, I'm surprised you're not going to spend that money on creating a sound booth like mine.
The problem with trying to build a better version of your booth is you would want to keep everything hot out of there. So like your PC and everything. But even doing that, your own natural body heat would make it heat up. So even if you had a large anechoic chamber, it would eventually get a little bit stuffy.
Nancy doesn't have body heat.
And so then you would have to start like doing some kind of fans to recirculate the air. And then you're introducing noise into the environment. That defeats the whole purpose. Like, I think that your booth is cool. I just don't need one. Yet.
Just to be clear, we are talking about a sound recording booth in case people
So
forgot.
yes. Last episode, we talked about my new sound booth, but there are ways that you can create a ventilation shaft into a booth, and it's basically constructed with an almost maze-like quality in such a way that none of the sound from outside ever bounces and makes its way into the booth. And then what you do is you line that with the foam tile that we talked about last week, the really thin ones, and that just sort of eliminates any outside fan circulation noise from getting into the booth, which is, quite awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's totally doable.
Now that I think about it, the whole point of a car muffler is to make the noise not loud.
Yes.
It's to muffle it. So you basically do that out of like the noise absorbent material. Stick a PC fan on the end of it and you're done.
Basically, yes.
Damn.
That's exactly what it is. And yeah, it's totally doable. You could ventilate a booth without introducing noise. You just have to create those ventilation shafts very specifically.
I got the chance to go over to Nancy's house this week, and I got to see the little booth, and so I wanna describe it because it was just so neat. So it's like a little booth made the structure of the booth is made out of like little PVC tubes, and the material is very similar to like moving mat material, moving blankets. Not exactly.
Acoustic blankets.
Close.
They're like
Sound
twice the
blankets.
thickness of like a moving blanket.
Acoustic
that you would
blankets.
Can I make a joke?
Yes.
It's not really even a joke. It's something I have to point out. But in my mind, I was setting up for a joke because you said acoustic blanket. And I was like, hey, that implies the existence of an electric blanket. Idiot.
Those are things.
Yes, those are.
Those exist.
I'm like,
they
are
absolutely
real,
do.
and they have no related usage to an acoustic blanket.
You don't know that.
I mean, I don't even know what an
imagine-
electric blanket would sound like if you tried to play it.
Imagine if you soldered like a 1/4-inch jack. No, solder a 1/4-inch jack to like the leads of an electric blanket, and then throw it into a dryer with some magnets. And what sound do you get out of the blanket? You're gonna get something.
Oh my god, that would be explosive.
Oh, yeah.
All I'm saying is you're just going to get an oven to bake yourself in.
So it's a little PVC frame booth with the moving blankets, with the acoustic blankets. The size is smaller than like a porta potty, for example. Similar, but even smaller, a little bit more claustrophobic.
And less
you
smelly.
pull the little flaps on the front, you walk right in, the microphone is there, the flaps close behind you, and suddenly the world stops making sound.
The world disappears.
The reality is you can still hear a lot, but it's so... At first, I want to say unsettling.
You're engulfed
Like,
in silence.
Well, it's disconcerting.
You literally are engulfed
sure.
in silence. Like it's not like the world has opened
That's what
up.
I said.
It's more like the world has closed around you, and that's why it's not making sense. Well, yeah, because you're in a smaller room now, doofus. Of course, it's closed around you. But it's such a weird feeling.
So, okay, I can really quickly explain that. When you're in a sound booth, you're in an enclosed space, and the blankets are there to stop sound from moving, which means it's stopping air from moving, and that's what
Yes.
makes
Mhm.
noise.
Oh, yeah.
Sound is air
Like,
that
because
moves.
it's the balance little thing in your inner ear, right?
Right.
And that's what it's messing around with.
And stopping the air from moving messes with that. Yes, exactly. So that's basically what you're experiencing is you're walking into a little small space where the air isn't allowed to move anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what screws up your sense of balance and your
Turning your office into an anechoic chamber.
Oh my god. I couldn't imagine making the entire could you imagine what I would do, what it would
Yeah.
sound like if we added more sound foam to
Absolutely.
this and made it even bigger? But we could spend a ton of money on this and, double wall it and
Mhm.
reinforce it and make it entirely soundproof, and you'd walk in here and it would be a completely silent experience. But for me, it's not needed.
And I just want to say that the difference it made, once I tried to make a very cheap and easy physical noise reduction system for my own microphone, just to see if it could be done. And I took a cardboard box
Mm-hmm.
and I took that cone-shaped foam padding that you sometimes get with things. And I just lined the box with that and put it behind my microphone to see if it would make any kind of difference. It didn't make an audible difference, and it took up all of my desk.
Aw, yeah, it would do that. And it probably didn't make much of an
Unfortunately.
audible difference because it's packing foam. Yes, it's shaped in a way that looks like it should be stopping reflections, but it's also really flimsy, thin. It's not very dense foam, and dense foam is
Yeah.
what you need.
But Nancy's recording booth, holy cow, the fact that you can walk into it and immediately feel the difference is just mind-boggling. I
It's
just thought it was
entering
very
another
cool.
dimension.
It kind of feels like it. I'm not joking. It kind of does.
I something that I don't think I've ever been in a proper sound recording booth like that, but I have been in the sort of opposite where I've been in, I want to say, I guess, presentation rooms of some kind where they are built for acoustics. So you stand in a sweet spot and your voice can radiate around the room, even if you're speaking at just regular volume,
Oh.
as opposed to having to project your voice very much.
So kind of like an amphitheater?
Something like that, but it's not just an amphitheater in that how the seating is arranged, but the roof that is the University of Calgary has a few rooms like that where the roof is maybe or ceiling is maybe I guess 4 or 5 feet above me, but it's developed you stand in the middle of the room and it in a 360 circle, everyone can hear you as long as you're standing in a sweet spot in the middle of the room, and you can also hear yourself because the way that the acoustics are made, it sort of just generates, I don't know, stronger waveforms from your vocal source, if that makes sense. It's very interesting. You feel like Morgan Freeman.
You feel like Morgan Freeman. Nice. But yeah, there are lots of classic amphitheaters that are created with those principles in mind, and some of them you can hear yourself, which is kind of disconcerting when you're not used to it.
True. Oh, something I really want to talk about before I don't know about anything else. Are you guys doing anything for Halloween? Because it's coming.
I am doing one thing. Me and a few friends are getting together, and we are going to be streaming and telling super spooky stories.
My God.
Oh my god, are you basically recreating the Midnight Society from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh my god. I would love to do that. Maybe I wonder if we can steal the graphics for that and make it work for our needs.
Do it. Just take the opening series, replace the font, and then just like have the opening theme playing when you do your like just starting soon.
That could actually be a DMCA takedown.
Aww.
DMCA.
Boo.
I mean, yes, at the same time, it wouldn't be a problem. I think it would totally be fine.
I mean, do
That'd
you
be pretty
really
cool,
care
but that
if it gets
is my
taken
plan.
down? That's the question.
That's the thing. It's a live stream.
Yeah.
So no one can stop me
No. Yeah.
until after it's already done.
You could do like an 8-bit fire and then just change the color of the flames to do like and I submit to the Midnight Society.
Actually, I did one better. So, for my stream, I wanted to have like some kind of spooky Halloween theme, and I was like, oh, you know how there's like the Christmas Yule log videos on YouTube? There's gotta be one for like a Halloween theme, and I found one. It was a 10-hour loop of like a spooky haunted mansion, with a fireplace, and I was like, okay. But I don't want to use it from YouTube every time I'm streaming. Can I download this? How do I do that? Can I use like YouTube downloader to like download this thing? And so I went to a website and it was like, yeah, we are not downloading a 10-hour YouTube video for you.
Whoop.
No. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? I can use VLC. VLC can open the stream and I can save it from there. And VLC crashed when it tried to open up a 10-hour stream. And I was feeling pretty defeated until I found a very similar, different one that was only 3 hours. So I downloaded a 3-hour Yule log video from YouTube, and that is now my background in my stream.
Piracy, everyone.
Piracy!
You know, I'm really glad that you're doing something that isn't just playing spooky games, because everyone on Twitch is playing spooky games. But I love creepy stories. I've never liked creepy games. I've never liked scary jump scares, but I love spooky stories.
Oh yeah, I love creepy stories, and that goes back like way back. Even when I was a young child, me and my family would camp often, and so would some of our friends. And so like telling spooky stories around a campfire was a thing that happened often. Usually it would be our drunk dads just coming up with something right off the cuff. And I still remember some of those. And I remember being so scared of them when I was a kid. But these days it's just like, oh my God, Dad. Like, it's just, why was I afraid of this?
You know what I actually really loved about spooky stories is that being scared was a great part of it. But like as a child, you're safe from this because you know that as not an adult, you do not have to like deal with the consequences of having this dirty, horrible knowledge in your head.
Wait, you were smart. What the hell?
No, like as a child, you don't have to deal with the consequences of having horrible, spooky, scary, crazy knowledge in your head of like creepy things.
If you were the kind of person, you were the kind of child who's like, oh, a ghost? That's funny. My dad could punch it in the nose.
I have to say, I was never afraid of, like, as an adult, I have never been easy to scare. As a kid, I wouldn't say I was easy to scare, but I was like more susceptible in the sense that like, I don't know, like, I guess I was more shy as a kid too. So I think that played a little bit into it. But I was easy to scare as a kid, not by like startles, but like spooky stories or like spooky TV shows would kind of get me. Like I remember Goosebumps.
I loved that show.
Not like all. Not,
I remember Goosebumps.
not all of Goosebumps, but like something that really always triggered me
Wait a
about
minute, what
Goosebumps
was it?
in the opening song and the opening sequence. There's that bit where like because it's a shadowy letter G that sort of floats everywhere, right? And at one point, it floats over by this dog that's on a porch, and the dog.
And then they have the dog barking to the song.
No, yeah, and the eyes glow yellow, and I remembered that like.
Oh yeah,
And that
freaked me
always
out,
got me.
too.
I was just like, just a little bit of chill. Now it doesn't really, but I still
I don't
have
think
good
it was-
memories.
I don't think it was Goosebumps. I think it was Are You Afraid of the Dark? But there was one where there was like a piano prodigy kid and like he was taking like private lessons with this creepy old guy. And then the creepy old guy was like, your hands though, your beautiful hands. And then he like tried pulling them off the kid and the kid tried pulling away and the kid pulled away and pulled the old man's hands off.
I remember
And
that.
that scared the hell out of
That
me.
episode gave me new
Yeah,
meaning
there was
to
good
Midnight
stuff.
Sonata.
Oh.
Anyway, definitely some of my favorite shows as
There
a
was
kid.
ventriloquist dolls. They're always creepy.
Yeah, the ventriloquist dummy, right? The episodes with that.
Slappy. I was never afraid of Chucky.
Slappy?
I'm not. Yeah,
Chucky wasn't scary.
I'm not into. Like I don't. Nothing gory is scary to me. There's very little body horror that I get freaked about. There's. I know people are usually afraid of like things sticking into people's eyes, and I don't understand that. But like the closest I get
yes.
is like nails, like if nails getting peeled back.
But
That's like, but that's
Oh,
not
God,
even like
yes.
that's not even that bad, to be honest. For me, anything gory is like essentially not horror. It's only, I don't know how to explain it, but like it's ambiance that gets me.
a lot
not
of
anything
a
else.
lot of horror movies, they go over the top with gore to the point where it's
and
just
jump scares.
I
absurd.
And
hate
jump
jump
scares.
scares.
Like
They're cheap.
like all of the Final Destination movies have this problem where they build up to the jump scare and they build up to the gore, and you don't always know what to expect the first time. But after that first time, it's like, okay, whatever. Whereas if you take something that more builds the ambiance, like 13 Ghosts. Have you guys seen that movie?
No. I don't think
No,
so.
the one where it's like the family, they're moving and it's a glass house. The house is like all these glass panes and it starts moving. And then there's ghosts, but you have to like wear the glasses to see them. And the ghosts have
Interesting.
really creepy designs and they're really good.
So that's what creeped me out the most about the Fatal Frame games, because you can only see the ghosts through the camera.
Like,
oh, I love Fatal Frame.
I
Fatal Frame is great.
legitimately,
That's a great horror.
I legitimately bought into the ambiance
Yeah.
that 13 Ghosts set
Fair.
up. And I thought that was a really good, scary movie.
I've talked about, I think, before or on podcast, but I really like SCP type stuff in terms of horror. So
Some SCP stuff is good.
not all, of
Some
course,
of it
because
is
the problem
kind of-
with SCP is it's community generated, not like
Yeah.
sort of so it loses direction sometimes. But the good stuff is really good. The stories and like articles that go with a certain SCP is really good. Control is a great game if you like SCP type ambiance. There's another sort of I think you can just call it like a video project called Omega Mart. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Oh,
But Omega Mart-
I've seen some of
Omega
those.
Mart, there's like essentially there's just a series of like fake commercials for a non-existent grocery store brand, and it's like a bunch of different commercials, but like as you get along, as you watch more and more of them, you see like there's a lot of what I would say are like have SCP elements, like something's just a little bit off, and like or like sometimes it's more overt than that, but like they all have these tweaks that make you uncomfortable. You should watch
Yes.
those. Omega Mart
Yes.
on YouTube, great stuff.
They're so good.
Omega Mart.
I mean, yeah, I guess I could. I'm unemployed. But yeah, that's what I'll be doing on Halloween. I'll be celebrating my last day of unemployment.
Yay!
You have no money. That is the greatest
I mean,
nightmare.
the lack of income is probably scary.
Because you have a mortgage to pay and taxes and stuff.
Man, part of me wonders how it would feel if I actually didn't have a job for a little while. Right now, I have the savings where I could comfortably go
boldly
3 months without a job, or uncomfortably go half a year without a job.
Does that account for traveling to Japan?
But
or SakuraCon.
That would mean things like, SakuraCon can't happen. A Japan trip wouldn't
Macaroni,
be able to happen. Things of
day.
that nature.
Mac and cheese, cheapest meal.
And like certain things at my job are just grating on me to the point where I'm like, man, if they really pissed me off one day, I could just walk out.
Yeah, fuck you, money's nice to have.
But not having money coming in sounds scary. Like it's something that I would not want to deal with.
I mean, it's not that I don't have money, it's that I'm not generating income. But like, is it burnout? Because I left my last job because of just straight burnout. I was so burnt out from the responsibility and the heaviness of it. I was developing really unhealthy work-life balance habits.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not burnt out. I'm just salty.
Salty?
It's just
Is that
it's a
better or
different
worse?
form of burnt out, really.
No, it's definitely better than burnt
Yeah.
out.
Dissatisfaction?
It's apathy.
It's a different form of dissatisfaction. When you're burnt out, it's like you have no energy.
You explode.
Whereas when you're salty,
Yeah.
if the boss says one wrong thing, you are going to respond in the wrong way.
I feel like that's an invitation for malicious compliance right there.
Oh, yes. One of the things that has been getting to me is that we recently went through an acquisition.
Ooh.
And so there was a very short period of time where the people trying to tell us what to do didn't have access to the same ticketing system that we normally did.
Okay.
And then once we got thrust into the main ticketing system, where we could finally like collaborate properly together, I learned that no, they don't have access to that ticketing system either.
What? Then why does it
I
exist
don't
in their
understand it.
organization?
I don't know, but like for one thing, I got on with my boss and like I got it in writing. It's like so these guys are trying to do this bullshit, and it's very frustrating. If they do not have a ticket, if they don't give us a ticket, do I have to do anything? And
Is the answer no?
because I already knew what he was going to say, I really wanted to ask this because he was going to back me up. And he's like, if there's no ticket, don't do it.
Yes.
Just don't.
You can't boss me around if you don't have a
the
ticket.
ticket isn't there, the request doesn't exist.
Damn.
And I really do appreciate my boss for that. Like, one team lead is very abrasive. The other team lead is abrasive, but at least has at least backs you up in certain situations like that. Like that.
Okay.
It's not a bad place to work. It's just certain circumstances are very grating right now.
Yeah, that's not good. But I mean, with that level of salt, are you really going to regret it if you pull some malicious compliance one day?
The biggest issue is that it is leading to a garbage in, garbage out scenario where we've been dealing with the garbage in for about half a year, and now we're starting to really feel the consequences of garbage out. At least I have a new mouse pad.
Tell me about your shiny new mouse pad.
So, back in March, I can't
Something
remember
that
when.
starts with an M and an A.
Nancy told me about Desk Hero, and they had a group buy and some nice desk mats. And I bought I had a plain black HyperX desk mat, and I really liked it, but it was kind of boring.
That was the same one that I had before I replaced mine.
And so there was one that was like a vaporwave cityscape, and there was a cute girl sitting on a gamer chair with her feet resting on like an old CRT TV, looking over it, drinking an Arizona iced tea. And I was like, you know what? That would be amazing.
That sounds
That
100%
is totally
on brand
I
for you.
wish I was in that person's place right now, drinking an Arizona iced tea, looking over a nice neon city. And it finally came in like 2 days ago.
Nice.
And I just I didn't realize it was going to be this long.
Oh?
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I mean,
I
shipping
understood it was a pre-order.
logistically has been a nightmare for the last while.
I understood it was a pre-order. They didn't say when the pre-order was expected to ship, but they said that somewhere on their site they said, "Oh yeah, it's usually about 6 months."
It's a group buy. We all know that.
I read that afterwards, and so I was kind of expecting. I was kind of hoping I would get it like July, August, or something. But you know what? I have it now, and I'm happy with it. I love it. That is retail therapy from half a year ago coming back to finally help me now.
Thanks, Past Angelo.
I don't think I can fit a desk mat on my desk area that I have available to me.
You need a bigger desk.
No, I don't.
I mean, they come in varying sizes.
Clearly you do.
No.
If your desk doesn't cover
Try again.
half of your living space, you're doing it wrong.
Again, you are wrong.
Your desk mat has to be at
Try
least
again.
Your desk has to be at least 100
Incorrect.
square feet.
100 square feet?
If you can't sleep on your desk,
I don't want to talk about.
are you even living your life correctly?
Absolutely yes. And with that, I want to go to sleep because it is not late, but I am tired as heck.
Can't even sleep on your desk. Tut tut.
I can't sleep on my desk, so I guess I'll have to sleep in my bed instead.
Like a plebeian.
A comfy plebeian with a mattress instead of a desk. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a good night, all you comfy plebeians out there.
Comfy good nights.